Hey guys, I've noticed a lot of people out there looking into duo necks, so I figured I'd put a guide out there. I hope you find it helpful. Nex is the best moneymaker in the game as of the time of this video, and duos are an incredible way to capitalize on that money making. The kills take roughly 10 minutes each, but you're only splitting uniques between two people. So with 4.5 kills an hour, accounting for the time to get Ancient Essence for each kill, you can hit upwards of 14 mil per hour. Now, I will stress that while this sounds like the El Dorado of old school RuneScape, there is a learning curve to duos, and you will have to be prepared to die a couple of times before actually getting them down and making profit from them. Duos are also something you'll definitely want to do with a friend. Duos are significantly more difficult than even trios, let alone 5-6-man teams and above. It can be quite fun, but it can just as easily be really frustrating if it's not something that both players are committed to. I won't be going over all the basic Nex mechanics, since I'd really recommend you have some experience with Nex in larger teams before trying out duos. Get a feeling for the boss's mechanics in an easier environment first, I promise you it's worth it. Alright, disclaimer out of the way, let's talk about gear. This is what I run in my duos, with the pre-pot setup ready to go. And this is what the inventory looks like after pre-potting. I'm using the Arceus spellbook with Thrall runes in the pouch. It's a standard max range setup with a high accuracy melee weapon to smash the ice prison with. You can opt for the Elysian Spirit Shield in place of the Twisted Buckler if you have one. I've heard it makes kills a bit more consistent. I wouldn't know because I don't have one, but the Buckler works great too. You can downgrade the Zaret Van Braces to Ancient Braces if you can't afford them. Same goes for Armadillo Pieces and Pegasian Boots for their Ancient D'hide counterparts. Now, unfortunately, the Zaret Crossbow and the Twisted Bow are super important in duos. You can successfully complete a duo with an Armadillo Crossbow, but there are a few times where duo kills really come down to the wire. So without these two core weapons, you'll probably only kill Nex every other attempt, maybe 2 out of 3. I know they're some of the most expensive items in the game, and if you don't have them, don't let this stop you from trying with other gear, but just be prepared for an uphill battle. Duo Nex is different to fighting her in other scales in that each time you go in, you're aiming to get 1 kill, and then you're back out to replenish supplies. You won't have the resources to stay for multiple kills in a trip, and in some bad cases, you might even run out of brews before you can finish her off. This is because duos are very reliant on RNG, with kills taking anywhere from under 8 minutes to over 12 minutes. But with practice, you can minimize much of the RNG involved and score consistent kills per hour. The number one problem with Nex in duos is the sheer amount of damage she deals with her basic attacks. Fortunately, there are a few things you can do to counter that. The most important strategy to learn is stepping under Nex to match her attack speed to yours. Nex's natural attack speed is 4 ticks, while your crossbow fires every 5 ticks. So by stepping underneath her on ticks while you are not attacking, or just before her next attack tick, you can delay her next attack by an extra tick every time you attack. This might not sound like a lot, but over the course of a 10-minute kill, it ends up saving a lot of health, so you will want to do this on every phase except Shadow. If you get this down, you will notice a significant increase in kill consistency. But there are other ways of avoiding even more damage. Stepping under isn't the only way to prevent her from attacking you, you can also move away from her attack range. Now most of the time you will want to be in Nex's melee distance, so you shouldn't do this while fighting her, but it can be very useful when you're dealing with her minions. If you step into the corners of the minion's alcove, you can drag Nex all the way from the center of the room, as she won't be in range to attack you from there. If she can attack you while you're on one corner, move to the other one to drag her along the aisle. Now the cool part is you can actually combine both of these techniques to have her dance around you and she'll deal way less damage than she should. When you're fighting a minion, and Nex is within melee distance, you can step underneath her while attacking the minion. If she doesn't switch targets within the next 8 ticks, you'll send her flying to the middle of the room, which you can then follow up with by moving to the minion corner and dragging her over to you again. Now this doesn't always work, as Nex can successfully path out when you're underneath her and she'll attack you, but in the worst case scenario, you'll still be able to delay her next attack by a tick or two. Those are the main strategies to keep in mind for the whole fight, but the most important one is matching Nex's attack speed to yours. If nothing else, practice that part. Now, there's one last thing I want to mention here, which is that you can flick Augury on ticks which you are not attacking, which helps with her magic attacks a bit, but I found it to be a lot of effort and it's not worth the trouble most of the time. It's something to do only if the kill looks particularly grim and you might not make it through the final phase. With that out of the way, let's go over some specific phases and a few more tips. For the whole fight, make sure to have Rigor on and a Thrall down on the field. Open the fight with a Zaret crossbow special attack so that you start regenerating energy right away. Remember not to hit Nex until the blue projectile from Fumus hits her. For Smoke Phase, you'll want to pray melee if Nex is focusing you, and pray mage otherwise. While Nex usually does 4 attacks on one player before switching targets, other factors like brewing or moving slightly further away from Nex can cause her to switch earlier, so I would recommend simply reacting to who Nex is attacking and switching prayers accordingly. This way you can focus more on those step-unders. You can handle the cough and dash specials as you normally would. As you hit roughly 20 to 40 HP away from the threshold to push the fight to the next minion, in this case 2720 HP for Fumus, you can switch to your Twisted Bow since it's more likely to deal that amount of damage than the Zaret crossbow is. And then you'll want to use a Twisted Bow for all the minions. Shadow is the deadliest phase in duos because of Nex's Darkness chases. This is when Nex uses her Embrace Darkness special attack, then chases a player up to melee distance. If you stay close to her too long, you'll take an absurd amount of damage and die almost instantly. Now you've got 2 options here. You can run away from her, after which she will dash near you. And after that, she will either start attacking with ranged, switch targets, or in the worst case, keep chasing you. If she didn't dash out far away enough that you'd be out of the darkness, you're going to get run over and die. The other choice is to run directly underneath her as she approaches you, and if she doesn't swap targets, you'll send her to the middle before the darkness damage kicks in. But if she switches targets, she will take longer before dashing to the middle, and if Nex paths out correctly, she'll melee you, and you guessed it, you're probably going to die. It's worth noting that if she only starts chasing after about 10 seconds into starting darkness, the darkness will dissipate shortly after, and you can survive the chase. It's up to you which strategy you want to go with. One isn't really strictly better than the other one, but going underneath her does provide a bit more control over where Nex is in the arena. Apart from darkness chases, you'll want to attack Nex from max distance at all times and camp range prey as you normally would. You can spec the phase if the kill so far has been slow, otherwise you'll want to save it for Blood Phase. When you're on Umbra, the tank must pray mage, and you should aim to keep Nex at max distance. Although you can flick between range and mage prayers, you will take virtually no damage from Nex if she's 10 tiles away from you, even camping mage prayer. This is also the worst minion to deal with, and the only one where you don't want to drag Nex around. It's better to keep her in place far away from you. Blood Phase can be really annoying in duos because she can straight up neutralize your damage by healing from her damage, and that's going to eat into your supplies. This is where step-unders make the most difference, and there's a number of other things you can do to make this phase a lot more manageable. For starters, you'll want to camp Mage Prey the entire time this phase, because Nex's magic attacks heal her for damage dealt. It's preferable to take a 30 melee hit than a 30 magic hit that also heals her for 30 HP. Use your crossbow spec here if you did not use one on Shadow. Unlike the other phases, Nex's magic attacks only target one player in Blood Phase, but be sure not to stand next to each other as the attacks deal AoE damage. Use the opportunity when she switches to the other player to pray at the altar, and then you want to spec her again after using the altar because you want to push her out of this phase as fast as possible. When she summons the Blood Reavers, kill them fully if they are attacking you. Their attacks slightly heal Nex, and over time, that's going to add up to a lot of health in a duo. You can skip the Blood Reavers at Crew War if they spawn about halfway through killing him. You can even skip them if they spawn at the start of Crew War's vulnerability period, as long as you delay Nex's special attacks by sending her to the middle and corner dragging her. Your first couple Blood Phases might be a little rough, but don't be discouraged. This is the bottleneck of the fight, keep practicing, and you'll get past it. Ice Phase is another one where you'll want to camp Mage Prayer. You really do not want to be frozen by her magic attacks here. If you get a spec back, you can use it either on this phase or on Zaros Phase, it's mostly up to preference. Ice Phase is fairly standard, deal with the special attacks as you normally would. While you can and should drag Nex around while fighting Glacies, you should avoid sending her to the middle when Glacies is close to death, because you'll want to be in Nex's melee distance immediately at the start of Zaros Phase. The Zaros Phase is also quite simple. You'll want to go back to praying melee if she's attacking you, and mage if she attacks the other player. The main thing here is once again stepping under and matching her attack speed to yours. Dump one more special attack if you have the energy for it. When Nex hits about 310 hit points, the Twisted Bow's DPS surpasses the Zerite crossbow, so switch to that, and you can finish her off. Thanks for watching. If you want to join Nex groups and discussions and anything Nex related, come and check out the Nexalted Discord, links in the description. Best of luck in your future duo endeavors, hopefully you'll get some uniques and make some friends along the way. Now I'm gonna go crawl back into my cave until Tombs of a Mascot comes out.
Stop. No. Right click attack. I always do this. Why? Oh my god. Stop walking out from under me. Okay.
Face.
Oh, and now she back for round 2. Okay. I got it. Hey, you're being chilling over there. Okay. Oh, what?